All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz, Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. I'm Gonzo, joined by the shy kid, Mike Hughes. How's it going, man?
Man, it's going, bro. It's going, bro. First and foremost, I want to say happy birthday, baby, to my boy Rob Scott. Rob's 2 cents. His birthday's today. Rob's 2 cents. His birthday's today. You love to see
Yeah, I
it.
saw
You love
that.
to
Happy
see it.
birthday, Rob.
Robbie. Oh, no.
Now we're joined by Foxborough Frankie. How's it going, Frankie?
Ow.
Oh, man.
I missed you guys.
I didn't miss you.
Stop lying. You were writing me last night like, yo, daddy, come on tomorrow.
Oh, man. I don't even have a dad. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know what, man? Good luck with Zeke, bro. Good luck with Zeke.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you this. My man Zeke is going to have one hell of a first year on a cheap deal with the Patriots than he did with his freaking entire career with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that was a good pickup by the Patriots getting Zeke. I don't think he's the same guy he was, but I still think he has something left. And them getting their veteran running back to put with Mac Jones, I think it was a good idea, especially after they didn't get Hopkins or a couple of the other receivers that they were supposedly in the mix for.
They have in my opinion, they have a top 5, top 6 running back already. So I don't see it. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
And me and Pride talked about this yesterday. Literally, like I had to talk with him separately on it. And I agree with you, Mike. We like Ramondre Stevenson is absolute beast. He's a beast. And that's our running back number 1, obviously, no doubt about it. But I see what Bill Belichick is doing. He got Ezekiel Elliott on a cheap deal. Really, basically signed him for like $4 million. He could get up to $6 million with incentives and stuff like that. But I think the reason Bill Belichick did it was because Ezekiel Elliott is a beast when it comes to like red zones and stuff like that. To like get it at least 5 yards, 10 yards from the touchdown line to get into the end zone and stuff like that. Ezekiel Elliott is good like that, and I feel like that's what Bill Belichick looked at, and also his pass blocking. And I told Pride that I'm like if it fits well for the pass blocking, give Mac Jones that extra help to give him more time to find an open receiver, then I accept it. But what me and him agreed on was I would have rather honestly taken Leonard Fournette. I would have honestly taken Leonard Fournette over Ezekiel Elliott, but Bill Belichick, I feel like at this point was looking at someone that wanted a cheap deal, and that's what Ezekiel Elliott took, was a cheap deal. What pissed me off, though, was Dalvin Cook signing an 8 whatever it is million with the Jets, and it's like, really, Bill? Like, you see that? Like, you couldn't at least get $3 more million or $4 more million to give more to Dalvin Cook, and you could have got him? That would have been even more better. But it's whatever. I believe in Bill Belichick and what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing with Dalvin was it wasn't really about the money. I think he kind of made that clear, and that was really a big part to why he took so long to sign. He kept having those conversations about, like, he's not mentoring Breece Hall. He's not going to be behind Breece Hall. And we all understand that Dalvin wanted the starting role. Dalvin wanted a big role in this offense, and I think that's something that you're not going to see in New England. You know what I mean? They believe in Stevenson. They believe in what they're doing. They believe in what he's capable of doing. So I think, for Bill, it's like I'm throwing extra money at you just for you to come, and you're not even going to be happy if you're here. So it's like at the end of the day, I think having Rodgers, having a better offense, having the offensive player of the year and Garrett Wilson, and having all these other pieces, I think it definitely was a lot more feasible and a lot more understanding for Dalvin to be like, yeah, I'd rather go here. And other than going to the division rival, and you have those conversations about like, what is Mac Jones going to be? What do you have with Parker? What do you have with, well, we know what you have in Parker. What do you have in Juju? What do you have in all these other guys? And it's like, you really don't know at the end of the day. So I think it's going to be interesting. Frankie humbled me last season when I said the Bears had a decent little offense going, and it was dog shit. So I'm going to humble Frankie. That whole roster is dog shit on offense other than Stevenson and Henry. I will give you that. I like Henry. I like Stevenson. Everybody else, doo-doo in the butt. So
Hold on. You don't like Mike Gesicki?
No, I don't.
Wow.
I saw him do the gritty, and I never want to see him ever again.
That's a sexy gritty. I can't wait to see him do it. I can't wait.
No, I like Mike, but I just feel like it's cool. You have 2 tight ends, but I truly don't believe you have a real wide receiver. Like,
and I feel that. I understand that.
And it's like, I think that when you don't have that, it messes everything else up that everybody else is trying to do. It's kind of like when you're all holding hands in the monkey barrel and one monkey gets cut, it's like everything else just falls. And it's like, that's really what it is at the end of the day. And I think when you look at it like that and you understand it's like a chain link. And if you're missing a part of the chain, it's just not going to be, you're not going to be able to do as much. You're not going to be able to stretch it out as far as you would want to. And I think that's definitely going to be interesting. That's why I've been so high on the Bears, is just because it's like, okay, like we filled these holes. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you did now. Now you can do whatever you want to do, no excuses. And for me, it's like, I feel like Mac Jones, again, what is it, year 3? Still very limited. And it's like, you still haven't given him that number 1 wide receiver. You still haven't given him, this real game plan of what this offense could potentially be that you saw with Tom. And Tom kind of just took it into his own hands to like make his own shit. And it's just like, I don't know. I haven't seen that. Since Tom left. And it's starting to kind of feel like it's more of a Bill thing than it was anything else. You know what I mean? Like, Tom was the one that was running the show. And that's really how I felt about it. And I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you look at it for what it is and you say, they're setting this kid up to fail again for another year.
Well, at least they gave him a real offensive coordinator this season.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Because you had a fucking horrible defensive coordinator as the offensive coordinator last year. How can you be the offensive coordinator when you can't even be the defensive coordinator at your own job?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I said that many times as well. I feel like, and I agree with everything you're saying, Mike. Like, yes, the wide receiver situation is an absolute disaster. And at this point, I just feel like every time the Patriots bring in a wide receiver for like a workout or even like a little meeting, that wide receiver itself doesn't want to sign with Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that he doesn't want to sign with the Patriots. I feel like they just don't want to play for Bill Belichick. And it's been rumored many times. We've seen, former Patriot players in the past come out on Twitter and call out Bill Belichick and say that that franchise is literally like being in the army or something like that. Like, nobody likes that franchise. It's because the way Bill Belichick runs it. And I feel like that's why the wide receivers right now are like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. DeAndre Hopkins was nice enough to come and have a little visit, and the man was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna wait for Tennessee. And he went over to Tennessee. So it happens. But I feel like the offensive coordinator situation is something a little better because on Mac Jones' rookie season, at that time, he didn't have a wide receiver 1 as well. He really didn't. There was no wide receiver 1 back in 2021 for Mac Jones. And he still had a decent year. I'm not going to say he had a great year. I'm not going to say he had a good year. He had a decent year. He went 10-6, went to the wild card, lost in the wild card, but he made many rookie records. I feel like him having an offensive coordinator, especially someone like Bill O'Brien, who's been in the system of New England, who knows Mac Jones a little bit well, I feel like that's going to, work out in favor for Mac Jones. But I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, preseason's here. Week 1, they didn't start no starter in New England. So I can't, see how Mac Jones is going to do. Like, put the man out there and let me see at least 1 or 2 series out of Mac Jones so that way I know how it's going to look during the regular season. Like, when we saw Chicago and that quick, what was it? Freaking that pass to DJ Moore, and he just went for 62 yards.
Little bubble
Like,
screen.
yeah, the little screenshot, like they're like, bro, that goes and tell you, like, damn, they're gonna do something this year, and they did. They showed out that game, and it's like, whoa, like, is this what Chicago's gonna bring during the regular season? Because if so, I'm already putting my hand in the hat and saying Chicago's going to the playoffs. Like that, if they play like that, they're going to the playoffs. I want to see that out of New England. Don't come out preseason week 1 and just go in with the second string, third string, stuff like that. I want to see a little bit of what this new offense is going to bring.
For sure. For sure. Gonzo, throwing it to you. I saw Anthony Richardson got announced as a starter today. How you feel about that?
I figured that was coming. That he was going to be named the regular season starter. If you look at Colts history, usually if we get a top 5 quarterback, well, I'm not going to say he's a top 5 quarterback, a top 5 pick, because we don't know what he's going to turn into. But like with Manning, we started him. When we had Andrew Luck, we started him his first year. So I figured they would start him. Was going to start him. After seeing his first preseason game, I actually feel a little better about him than what I did when we first drafted him. I didn't think he played. I thought he played pretty good in the first preseason game. He had the one bad interception where it was partly his fault for it because he should never just threw the ball up like that. But the receiver also gave up on the play. But then he had threw a perfect 55-yard dime that should have been a touchdown. And Alec Pierce, who's supposed to be our number 2 receiver, I don't know if he had butter on his fingers or what, but just flat out dropped it. And then he would have had a rushing touchdown that game as well, and it was a holding penalty. So, and just in the 3 series he played, I thought he looked decent for his first time out there, especially knowing he hasn't played a whole lot of football, didn't play a whole lot in college. So, I'm not expecting the Colts. I'm not going to sit there and say the Colts are going to be a playoff team. If they can win 8 games this year, I'd be happy. They won like 3 or 4 last year. You got a rookie quarterback with not much experience. Still, the offensive line worries me. That's the big thing that worries me about the Colts is the offensive line. But I think if they can protect him, he'll play decent. He's going to make mistakes. He's a rookie. I mean, hell, Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
What aggravates me is you got people that are supposedly Colts fans that they watch him play 3 series and he's already a bust and he's this and that. And it's like, you can't tell that from 3 series in a preseason game where you don't even have everybody playing. It's guys' first time out there on an NFL field.
Well,
so I think people are overreacting a little bit.
And in his defense, the man was playing up against the first string starters of the Buffalo Bills defense.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to give the man some type of credit. I tell you what, Chris, he played better than C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young.
Yeah,
see, I agree. Like I said, I was happy with what we played, but man, if you got in these Colts fan groups, you'd have thought that every pass he threw was an interception.
and that's really just I feel like that's more of a Midwest thing, especially with teams like the Bears and the Colts, where you're looking for that QB that you haven't had in so long. And for the Bears, it's like, have we really had one ever other than Jim McMahon and Sid Luckman? And it's like, we're talking way back when, you know what I mean? We're talking 20th century, but you look at that and you understand it and you go these fans do deserve something great. And I think they're just so used to bullshit. They're so used to Nick Foles, Matt Ryan at this point. You start to have these conversations to where it's like, are we ever going to get it right? And I think that's for even with myself with Justin Fields. I'm like, guys, it's a new regime. It's a new front office. It's a new coaching staff. It's his story. It's his own quarterback arc. It's his own NFL arc. You can't just compare it to Jay Cutler and Josh McCown and Mitch Trubisky and all these other cats that have come through the door. Also, Nick Foles. Nick Foles has been around pretty much everywhere. But you look at that and you just say it's time. It's time to start a new era. It's time to start a new understanding of what Colts football, what Bears football could be. I think with Justin, you're starting to see a lot. 129 yards and went 3 for 3. I mean, two of those throws were, one was a 10-yard route that turned it into a 52-yard touchdown from Khalil Herbert, and the other one was a bubble screen that went 62 yards to the house. So I'm not taking too much of it into that statistic to heart. I'm not saying he's there. He wasn't throwing deep balls. He wasn't going crazy. But I've said this time and time again, Justin Fields was an elite quarterback last year. And I say that for a reason. And I told Frankie the same thing. And I think Frankie started to really believe me towards the end of the years because as a quarterback, I don't care if you have 5,000 yards. I don't care if you throw 30, 40 touchdowns. The job to me as a quarterback, especially coaching football for a while, you understand, and even playing it, you understand, doesn't matter what you do as long as we're scoring touchdowns. And for the second half of the season through 8 games, the Bears were averaging 30 points as an offense. And I looked at that and I said, you know what? Maybe he's throwing, to Frankie's point, when Frankie was telling me he can't throw 300 yards. Yeah, maybe he's not, but
You
we're
don't need
scoring
to.
touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like Dak Prescott throws 4,000 yards a season. What does Dak Prescott do in the playoffs? What does Dak Prescott win in the season? Nothing. And that's the conversation I always tell people is like, there's going to be Patrick Mahomeses of the world who throw 5,000 yards, win Super Bowls, win MVPs, and that's cool. But as long as we're winning games, as long as we're scoring touchdowns, as long as we're addressing the problems, that the Titans came out, scored a touchdown right away. Justin Fields responded. They come back, score another touchdown. Justin Fields goes back on the field. He responds again. And then that was it. We had 8 sacks on the day without a lot of our starters. We didn't have Yannick Ngakoue or DeMarcus Walker. We didn't have Traymon Edmonds. We didn't have Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker. We didn't have any of those guys. And it's like we still put up 8 sacks and two interceptions. And if you're scoring 23 points, we can do this. And I think that's really the conversation right now when you look at a guy like Anthony Richardson. Yeah, maybe it's not pretty, but if you start winning games, no one cares. No one cares what the stat line is.
And if you watch him that first preseason game, I thought he had good pocket awareness. Richardson did. He was able to move. It wasn't like he was just getting blown up and getting sacked and holding on to the ball. He made some good. He made some good throws. He did make a couple bad ones. He threw that interception. And he overthrew, and then he had a ball sell on him. Then he tried to throw to Pittman, and he kind of overthrew. But
hey, but that's a great connection to build, though. You know, like I'm okay with those. Like if you want to throw a deep ball to Pittman, that's a good sign of like, hey, I'm confident enough to do so. You just got to control his arm because the kid's got a cannon. Now, if he had Tyreek Hill, you can do whatever you want.
Like he threw that nice deep ball about 55-yard pass to Alec Pierce. It should have been a touchdown. I mean, you couldn't have threw it no better.
Right.
And Pierce dropped it. That's what worries me about the Colts offensive line. And then I still think we should have done something at receiver.
Yeah.
I think Pittman could be a guy for us, but Pierce hasn't. He's a big guy and I like him, but he hasn't proved that he has the consistent hands. Right. He has a lot of drops. He dropped a lot of passes last year, and then you get in the first preseason game this year. I know it's only preseason, so you don't want to read too much into it. But then you drop a pass like that, and it's like, well, is this going to be the same as last year where you drop passes you should catch, and then you make difficult catches?
Right. I used to really like you remember Frankie and I picked him up in fantasy actually. He was on the Colts. I don't know if he still is. Zach Pascal. I thought he was an absolute stud. I thought that kid was huge.
Yep.
He never really turned into anything, and I didn't know if it was because of more of the quarterback play or what, but I don't know if he's still on the roster, but I was expecting big things from him. I think him and Anthony Richardson would have been great together. You just kind of got to me and Frankie's point, guys who understand what it's like not to have receivers for a long time. You just got to take a shot in the dark, bro. Like you got to take a chance on the Darnell Mooney's of the world. And I think the Colts just kind of do that. By the time they do it, it's the 6th, 7th round, 5th, 6th, 7th round. And it's like, you got to hit that in 1 through 4, 100%, because guys like Belichick, guys like, throughout this league are just figuring these guys out really quickly. But I want to throw this one to Frankie because I was watching the Pat McAfee show today. They were having conversations about Trey Lance. What's going to happen with Trey? I heard what one of his boys said, and I really liked it. It was basically they're talking about Trey potentially getting traded. They made a lot of jokes in between that I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah, I was watching it too.
It was wild. But he threw out a proposal about how they should handle Trey Lance, and I really liked it, and I kind of wanted to talk about it here and get our own spin on it. Having him play all 4 quarters of every preseason game to see what you have in him and also to build this trade stock. I think you have that conversation of saying if he plays all 4 quarters or even just a half, I think you really get to see what you have in him versus Sam Darnold as a backup. Or let's say he balls out in all 4 quarters. Hey, this is 4 weeks of 4-quarter football, 4 complete games, 3-4 complete games. You should trade for him Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? Like have those conversations. Do you think they're not going to do it, but do you think it would be in their best interest to try to get as much playing time out of Trey Lance as possible right now for either or to trade him or to just see what they have versus Sam Darnold as the backup? Because Brock has been announced QB1, and I'm so happy for him because fuck Trey Lance. But yeah.
Yeah, I like Brock Purdy. We never seen a player that's been drafted as Mr. Irrelevant come out and become the new franchise of a team. Like that, Brock Purdy took that to heart and was like, "All right, bet, cool." But Trey Lance, I agree. I think you let Trey Lance play some preseason snaps if you feel that you brought Sam Darnold in for God knows why. I don't understand. I understand Jimmy Garoppolo left, but what was the hell in bringing Sam Darnold thinking that was going to be better? But okay,
I think it
go
was
ahead, San Fran.
before you go. I think it was. Hear me out, right? We're trading Brock or not Brock. We're trading Trey, and I think that was the idea. It was like, okay, well, we need a backup. We don't want a bum because we saw what happened. You got a bum, but like the least of bums. You know what I mean? Like Sam's a bum, but Sam can also do some things, and I think that's where you wanted to go with it. And I think understanding that, hey, Brock just broke his elbow, he just tore his UCL. You have to have those conversations of like, we need somebody here right now, and we don't think it's Trey. And I think they brought in Sam just to be like, hey, just be the backup, and we'll see what we have in Trey. And if Trey ends up doing well, then okay, oh well. But if Trey ends up being great, we could just trade him away.
Yeah, I think they.
But what if
I agree with you, Mike.
I was gonna say quickly, what if Trey does ball out? They play him all 4 quarters, or like you said, even a half, maybe even 3 quarters. And he balls out, looks phenomenal. Now you can put him on the trade block. You really can, and teams will look at him. Like Tampa Bay, like Carolina, because who knows how Bryce Young is. I honestly I don't think Bryce Young is going to be good at Carolina.
I'll do you one better. You ready? You ready for it, Frankie?
Don't say it.
Tell me you're ready.
I'm ready.
I needed more energy from you, Frankie. I said, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I hate Frankie. I hate Frankie so much. No, I think I look at Seattle as a team that didn't draft a quarterback last year, extended Geno, and they have all the draft capital in the world. So I think when you look at a team like Seattle, I definitely think if Trey Lance was performing well this preseason, and they kind of want somebody in the future, because you don't know what Geno is. You know what I mean? We know what Geno has been his entire career, and now he's 32, 33 years old. You kind of have an idea of this isn't going to be forever of him playing Pro Bowl football. And it's not to say he won't have a good season this year, but the prolonged of that being the next 5 to 10 years for the Seattle Seahawks is just not, to me, is not feasible. And I think when you have Jackson Smith and Jigba and DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, and all these guys, they have a good tight end core too. You need to have a young gun in there that's building chemistry with them so that when and if Geno does ever fall off, you have somebody to say, hey, he's taking the reins. Because it's cool to have, Geno Smith or somebody else along those lines who's kind of just like, going on one of their farewell tours and they're going out high and they're having career highs, and it's cool. But as a franchise, you have to be like, but who's the face of this franchise the next 5 to 10 years? And I think that's really the question right now for Seattle, because they're in a position right now to where they're not going to be able to get Caleb Williams. They're expecting to go to the playoffs this year. You're not going to get a top quarterback. Then going into 2025, is Geno Smith going to be who Geno Smith should be? You know what I mean? Like it's at 35 years old when he hasn't done that his entire career. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So I think if I were the Seattle Seahawks and Trey Lance was performing well in preseason, I would definitely be interested in having conversations with the 49ers about a trade.
Yeah, and I think that you're right. And like they were saying on McAfee, I would start Lance and play him 3-4 quarters every preseason game to try to build up trade value, because this is what his third season in the NFL. You really haven't got to see much from him because of the injury. And after next year, you'll have to decide if you want to pick up his 5th-year option or not.
Right.
And you haven't seen him play, and you're going with Purdy as your guy, which I agree with. I think Purdy earned that from the way he played last year. And then you bring in Darnold. I agree with you. They brought him in as a backup, and they think in Shanahan's system that he can perform good enough to be a backup. So, I'd play him and try to trade up or build up his trade value, because right now, with him just sitting there and just playing a few series and getting sacked 4 times like he did the other night, I know his QBR was good, but hell, he should have had 2 interceptions.
Right.
I mean, if you watch that game, he didn't look good. I don't care what QBR says.
Even Justin Fields, bro. It's like, you know, you have a 158.3 QBR rating. Dude, you threw a bubble screen, a 10-yard route, and like a 15-yard pass. And it's like, I don't give a fuck about preseason QBR, bro, like at all. Like, what are we doing? But Frankie,
I think Tampa Bay could be a team that could maybe be interested in him because
yeah.
I mean they got Baker and Trask.
Baker and trash. Yeah, 100%. They're both trash, but it is what it is. But Frankie, how do you feel about that? Like, especially, I want to throw in another name into the hat just to get your opinion on it. When you have a team like the Dolphins, not really sure what you have in Tua, do you think if Trey Lance performs really well, you'll see more teams, not just Seattle, not just all these other teams? Do you think Miami would be interested just because of everything that's happening with New England and the Jets and just everybody else?
Nope. I don't see Miami, and the one reason why, and it's a beautiful name, and literally he caught my respect last year, and excuse my language, no effing, okay? I didn't want to curse, so I'm going to be polite here. No effing Jets player gets my respect, right? And it's the name of Mike White. I feel like that man literally, like, you give him some downs, like, he can do something for you. And now he's on a team. He was on a team last year. We seen what he did with Wilson and Davis. Like, we seen what he did. Now you're on Miami where you got Jalen Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill, like, you got all these top dogs. Like, you could do something with Miami. Tua, I'm not gonna give much on Tua. Tua is like, I don't know what's up with Tua, man. Like, that dude, too many concussions. So I mean, then again, you know, if Tua does go down and he goes down out for the rest of the year, I mean, who's going to be Mike White's backup? So to go on that point as well, it could be a 50-50 for Miami. It honestly can. It really can.
What about a team like the Saints? I know they got Derek Carr. But
they just drafted they did just draft a kid though, didn't they?
Yeah,
they just draft somebody.
Yeah.
I know Ian Book didn't go very well, but I think they drafted another kid after that, didn't they? I'll have to text Jim. Jim knows more about it than I do. But
did anybody think Ed Book was going to go really well?
Isn't he from Notre Dame, right? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Hell no. The only good game Ian Book had was against the Clemson Tigers. Remember they were going into like overtime against Trevor Lawrence and company. Like I think it was Trevor. It was Trevor or DJ.
I think it was DJ. It was actually the quarterback.
I hate. Frankie knows. I scream Go Big Orange. I scream Tennessee Volunteers. But originally, I was a Clemson Tigers fan because of Trevor Lawrence, and I was like, you know what? After Trevor Lawrence leaves, I'll still rock out, see what's up, see how I feel. I like Dabo. Brought in DJ. I was like, I'm fucking out of here, bro. So I have no attachment to this place. It's trash, bro. The guy is trash. Now he's going to go to Oregon. Here's what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now. I'm painting the scene. He's going to go to Oregon, play in a weak division, play in a weak conference. He's going to throw 40 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards, and they're going to say he's going to be the number one of the top 3 quarterbacks taken out of this draft. And I'm going to be like, he couldn't hang in Clemson, though.
He'll end up getting overdrafted because he had one good year at Oregon.
No one wants to talk about
He's going to be a Heisman. He's going to be a Heisman finalist.
100%. I'm excited.
Not even a winner.
Jay Ness asked, what rookie QB is your sleeper?
After what I seen, Anthony Richardson.
Can't hear. You muted yourself.
I dropped. Oh, that's what I said. I said I dropped my mic. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to take a look at it. Rookie quarterbacks. Oh no, I don't have to. I just thought about them. They just popped in my head, and that's how you know how bad of a class it was. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. You know,
Will Levis.
You got a good look at Levis because did you guys play? The Bears
I don't got to look at Levis. We sacked.
No, Levis. I said you got a good look at him last game.
Oh yeah, I saw him. Horrible dog shit. We just sacked the dude 8 times. So I mean, take that. And 2 interceptions. But well, that was between him and Malik, but both trash. Anyways, you know, I think when you talk about sleepers, I think,
I think
unfortunately you have to bring into the fact of what the team is. And I think you have to take that into account because like Brock Purdy was a sleeper, but Brock Purdy also has one of the number one offenses in all of football. Between Kyle Shanahan, CMC, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, all these guys, one of the best offensive lines. He had everything. So when I look at Bryce Young and I go, "You're in Texas, I don't know what you have." Or Bryce Young's in Carolina. In Carolina, I don't know what you have. I can't name your receivers. I don't really know anybody other than Hubbard, and that's really just being
and
real.
I don't trust the coach in Carolina either.
Right. So, and then I look at CJ Stroud, and I say, I see some wide receivers. I see Dallas Schultz. I see a decent running game. I think there's a conversation for it. But I also think it's a huge drop off from what he's used to with Marvin Harrison Jr., with Jackson Smith and Jigba, and a bunch of other guys in Ohio State. Ohio State quarterbacks do have a very hard time transitioning. Justin Fields even had a hard time transitioning because you're going from having Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. and JSN.
Yeah, you're going to a team with less talent.
You're going to a team with Byron Pringle and Dante Pettis and all these other guys. And shout out to Dante Pettis, though. Best punt returner in college and NCAA history. Didn't know that. He's number one ranked. Never knew that until today. And then I realized we don't even have him doing punt returns, so that pissed me off. But
he's not going to get a chance to play this year unless Stafford gets hurt. But a guy that I think could be a sleeper is Stetson Bennett.
And that was where I was going to go with it. You're crazy, Gonzo. You're in my mind. I do think there's a reasonable, like, as a sleeper. I don't think Anthony Richardson can be a sleeper because you're drafted so high. You know what I mean? Like Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, to Frankie's point, you're a sleeper. Now you throw in Stetson Bennett, who's won 2 national championships back to back, still drafted in the 5th round, something crazy like that. You have
where do you go to? Rams?
Yeah, he has Cooper Kupp, he has Sean McVay, and all these different guys, all these different pieces. I think there's a conversation. Let's say Stafford can't stay healthy, which is a narrative throughout his entire career, except for 2 years ago. You look at that, to Gonzo's point. I'll let Gonzo talk about it more than I can, but that's the guy who I think could be put in a position to succeed that you wouldn't look at week 1 as even a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I think too, because he's a guy nobody's. I mean, like you said, won 2 back-to-back national championships and really still didn't get no respect because everybody was, it's his age. He's so much older than he's a man playing with college kids. And now he's in the NFL, but now he's going to be behind Stafford. But like you said, Stafford's injury prone. I think if he gets a chance with McVay, with Cooper Kupp, and the weapons they have there, I think he could have be a guy that can surprise people. I think I do agree with Frankie. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be. I wouldn't call him a sleeper just because he got drafted so high, but I do think he's going to have a better year than what a lot of people had projected when the Colts first drafted him.
100%, dude. I just think at the end of the day, I can't say you're a sleeper if you were drafted in the first round, and that's. It's tough. It's tough because it's unfair. Like if you're gonna tell me who do I think could be the best rookie quarterback, I think it's Anthony Richardson, 100%. Because I think 1, you're gonna get the reps to be able to do so. 2, you have a quarterback or a wide receiver that's not in year 1 or year 2. You have a viable wide receiver in Michael Pittman Jr. He's somebody who I wanted on the Bears, somebody Frankie wanted on the Patriots. We're never gonna lie and say Michael Pittman's not a good wide receiver. We all know what he can be. And I think it's that conversation of you just got to put the pieces around him. You just got to.
You could have a top running back as well, depending on what happens with that situation.
Oh, that's over. You can stop that right there. That's not happening. That your owner made sure that's not happening. He said that clear as day. He said, "I'm not fucking paying you." That's crazy. Part of my language, but that's Frankie. Is that not exactly what he said?
That's pretty much what he said,
bro.
Bro, he went to his deathbed mad early just to say that.
Blew my mind. Like, I understand you don't want players to have leverage in this league. I understand it's become that, and you don't want, like, what are we looking at with James Harden right now with Daryl Morey and all these other things? Like James Harden's out here right now, like he's the devil, running around. He's like one of those weird guys in the middle of downtown that has the sign that's like talking about the devil and shit.
And
The
they used to
little
be
Nicky.
they used to be best friends.
They used to be best friends. He's the reason he wanted to go to Philly, and then now it's like he's the devil. And I think there's so much that goes into it. But I feel like, not to get off topic, but to that, we can talk about it later. I think James wanted somebody to join in Philly, and Daryl wasn't down. You know what I mean? I think he was like, hey, bring in Kyrie, bring in KD, bring in somebody. And he was like, no, that's not going. And he was like, oh, fine, fuck it then. I don't want to be here. But to that point, I think you look at that conversation about Jonathan Taylor and you look at what could potentially be if it were to all get figured out. I think you have a solid squad. I mean, I'm going to be playing with him in Madden until Jonathan Taylor is traded. Like, you have the cannon of Richardson. You have the great connection. I'm going to be doing tight end attack all day, and you have Jonathan Taylor coming up. He's doing the out and in and just coming up. It's going to be a beautiful thing. And I think, at the end of the day, that show is going to run without Jonathan Taylor, with or without him, because it's the Anthony Richardson show now. The same conversation Frankie had is like, when you go and you pass that mantle to who's going to be at the top of the franchise, who's going to be the face of the franchise, it's always going to be a legit quarterback. Now, when you don't have a legit quarterback, it goes to the running back, it goes to the wide receiver. Even for the Bears, it goes to Khalil Mack. You know what I mean? It goes to your number one defensive player. When you have that QB1 that you drafted that high, JT, I'm sorry. If you would have did this last year, I think they would have folded. Because all they had was Matt Ryan, like, okay, and Nick Foles, like, okay, cool, like
Nick Foles, Sam Ellinger,
right. So here's what we'll do: we got our franchise running back, but we got our franchise quarterback. Who we paying? The fuck out of here.
I think Taylor will be. Well, I think he'll be, if he plays this year, I think he'll play with the Colts. So let's he sits out the season, because I don't see the Colts trading him. I don't see the Colts if they do trade him. I don't see him trading during the season. So it'd be after the season when he's not under contract. But if he sits out a season, doesn't it still count basically that he's back at this season?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on if they put him on if he gets put on one of the non-injury list or whatever. I guess.
I think it's definitely interesting. Frankie and Pride and I were laughing about it. What happened with Le'Veon Bell, and I think the reality is Le'Veon did get paid. You know what I mean? Like that was the end goal for him, and he did get paid no matter what happened at the end. He made his money. He made what he wanted to do from the Jets, and he's still getting paid from the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. Or last season was probably the last year, but he hasn't been on the team in forever. So, you look at that, though, and you understand that contracts like that aren't going to happen again. Like, you're not going to sit out. You're not going to get paid as a running back, at least. If you want to do it as a quarterback, you want to do it as a wide receiver, or as a linebacker, or as a pass rusher, cool. You could still get paid. But as a running back, teams do not care. Like, we've seen it time and time again of guys just getting replaced. Like, you look at what happened with Alvin Kamara and him getting suspended for a few games. They just brought in another running back.
Todd Gurley
is another Todd Gurley was the staple of football for an entire year. And then just gone. Disappears into the night. Like, you'll never see him again. Crazy. Goes to Atlanta, just never seen again. And it's really something I think you look at that and you say, what's the risk for Jonathan Taylor right now? I'd say you lose a job in football.
Yeah. That's the thing. It didn't make sense for me for him to do it this season, because he really don't have the leverage, because you're coming off an injury. You're still not healthy. You're still missing time because of an ankle. So it's going to be, who's we're going to trade for? Nobody really wants to pay a running back right now. So who's going to trade for a running back that's hurt and then also pay him? Because if you trade for him, you're going to have to pay him, because that's why he's upset and wants to leave the Colts, because he wants paid now. And I just don't see teams wanting to do. I don't see teams that are going to trade for a hurt guy and give him a contract.
Listen,
I think if he was healthy, he'd have a little more leverage.
Me and Frankie will give you a 1 4th round pick each, and we'll just rotate every other Sunday. One day he's in New England, one day he's in Chicago, and I think that's how we could do this. What do you think?
I take it.
Every other week?
And it's a better top it off. We'll work out with the Bears and see if we could get Jonathan Taylor during the Germany week, so that way he can go up against the Colts.
Yeah, that's fine. We could work that out. I'm with it. Gonzo didn't even respond. He doesn't even want to talk about it.
Real talk though. Like,
No, honestly, I couldn't hear you guys. I was having an internet issue. It cut out, so I don't even know
Oh, I'm
what
so
you
sorry.
said.
What we said was me and Frankie representing our organizations. We'll make you a deal right now. We'll both give you a 4th round pick from the Bears and the Pats, and we'll rotate. Jonathan Taylor will be every other week with the Bears and the Pats, the Bears and the Pats. And then when they go to Germany, I'll let Frankie have that week too. You know, it's kind of like when you get custody of a
let him
kid.
have him that week so he can play against the Colts.
Yeah, it's like custody of a kid, man. You know what I mean? Like I can make it work. Whatever means something to you, Frankie. We'll talk about it.
all right.
That's who the Colts play in Germany is New England. So I guess that would work out all right.
Yeah, 100%. But no, I think, man, I'm just happy we're back. I'm so happy we're back. I'm happy we're having these conversations, talking ball.
Got what, 21 days, 22 days before the first regular season NFL game.
Like, man,
12 days before college football.
I'm hyped, bro. And college football is just something different, bro. I love college football so much. Frankie, don't tell nobody, all right? Don't tell nobody on the block. You promise?
I promise.
I might be switching teams again. I don't know.
with college football, you could do that. It really don't matter with college football.
It's like I love Tennessee. I love Randy Jowers. I love GBO, and I love all of it. And it's not because Hendon's gone. It's not because of anything else. It's really because it's like I want to go to college football games. You know what I mean? Like I want to enjoy them, and I want to be present. I want it to be a Midwest team. Unfortunately, the only team I have here is Northwestern, and they're going to try to.
I was going to ask you, you gonna go Northwestern?
No, they're going to try to play with my balls while I sit in the stand. So I don't want anything to do with Northwestern. They're sick fucks, and they're disgusting. So, weirdos, dude. Yeah, we love hazing. No, you just love weird shit. That's what you love. You fucking Jehovah. But I don't know. I think I'm looking at some Midwest teams that won't be named. We're gonna get back with my agent and we're gonna have conversations. My agent is Frankie. But we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens. I also have to talk to my lawyer, Tony. Got to talk to Tone Bone. He's one of the best college football guys I know. Kind of see where he's at with it. Michigan, Ohio State. There's a lot of different anywhere but Iowa. If you thought Northwestern was bad, Iowa is worse. Both Iowa State and University, both horrible. So yeah, I'm curious about it. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Somebody in the comments said, what happened at Northwestern? A lot of bad things, a lot of bad illegal things. And, what are you going to do? It's you can't root for that. You can't stand with that. You can't stand with hazing. You can't stand with sexual assault. Like, that's so dog shit. And that's so, like, what are we doing? What are we doing as like a league? Like, we're allowing shit like this to happen. It's 2023. Like, that shit was a whole lot of sense to me.
What didn't make sense to me on that, Mike, is you get rid of the head coach, which he deserved to get rid of. I'm not saying he didn't. But you keep the rest of the staff.
Good head coach.
But you keep the rest of the staff.
Nah, fuck that.
They were behind him. They were behind him.
Yeah, fuck that. No,
they were behind him. They knew about it.
You can't tell me not everybody in that room understood what was going on.
That's what I'm saying. The whole staff should have been gone and started all over.
Okay, I thought you were saying keep the staff.
Why did you?
No, they did. That's what I'm saying. They kept the staff. Is what I'm saying. They should have got rid of the staff.
Yeah, no,
it made no sense. Why fire the head coach if you're keeping everybody else?
Like the Chicago Blackhawks,
part of the problem as well.
I'm gonna keep that energy. I'm gonna keep the same energy. I'm gonna definitely understand like that. My shit stinks too, in the sense of the Chicago Blackhawks. I love the Chicago Blackhawks. I root for them. Man, 3 Stanley Cups in 6 years. That's amazing. But during those 6 years, there was an individual who was getting sexually assaulted and hazed by one of the coaching staff. And they all knew about it. The ownership knew about it. Everybody from top to bottom knew about it. They just didn't want to talk about it because we were on a Stanley Cup run. And to say it's understandable is just sick. Oh, yeah, we get it. You got a lot going on. Nah, fuck that. Yeah. Like, that's weird as fuck. You're weird as fuck for even letting that fly. And I think I do have a different stance on like when you're a grown man versus when you're a kid. I think it's 2 very different conversations on how you need to locally speak up about that. But even as a 20-year-old, you're still a young man. This is your opportunity in the NHL. This is your opportunity in professional sports. So I definitely also see the side of like, you don't know what to do. And it's tragic. And I think you have to look at that and say, why I loved what the Blackhawks did was because it was like, okay, cool. Joe Quenneville gone, Rocky gone, all these other guys, Stan Bowman and company gone, everybody gone. Everybody from top to bottom that was a part of that is now gone. Even Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane now, they've just left on their own. But like, it's a whole new regime, it's a whole new era. They owned it. You know what I mean? They owned it and they understood like that shit was fucked up, and we got away with it for almost a decade of it not being brought up. But for Northwestern to be like, yeah, we'll just cut off the head of the snake, but we'll leave the body. And it's like, the body can become the head again very easily. And I think when you have those conversations and you say that this is what's being allowed, like, you have to remember this person hired all these people. Not to say they're all the same person, but who's to say they're not buddy? You know what I mean? Who's to say they weren't all behind it? And I think that's kind of the way you have to go about it. Not to turn it into a whole little rant about hazing, but like, that shit was lame back in the day. That shit was lame when it was the 20th century, the 21st century, the 19th, whatever. Like, that shit's always been weird. That shit's weird as fuck to me, that you want to play with somebody's ass and you say it's a joke. Like, I will punch you in your shit. Like, I'm not even kidding. And I've said that. Frankie knows. I tell him all the time when I played lacrosse for a pro league. And it's like, you had those conversations where I'm the only kid from Chicago. I'm playing with all these little rich kids. Fuck those kids. I felt like Spencer James from All American, bro. Like, those kids, I did not relate with them. And they tried, they tried, like, not hazing, but like bullying, and they try to belittle you. And it's like, dude, I will knock you the fuck out. And that's really how I feel about it. And I know we're getting off topic, but like, a team, your team, what it's supposed to be, like, you got to build camaraderie. You got to build a brand that, it's us versus everybody else. Instead, I see Anthony Davis with his ass crack out in Kentucky. It's the weirdest video of ever, if you've ever seen it. Frankie knows what I'm talking about. But, you see that video of Anthony Davis in college, and it's like, y'all are weird. This is weird. Like, that's not normal behavior. That's not a normal thing that you should be doing. You just stripped a man down butt naked in a locker room after a game, and it's like,
for what? Weird in New Orleans.
Weirder in New Orleans too.
It was wild.
I mean, it's I don't know. That's my stance on it. I think I agree with you, Gonzo. Like, you got to cut that out you got to cut the entire piece out. When you have cancer, you don't just take out a small piece of the cancer. You take out all of it. Like, the whole, from top to bottom. Somebody expressed how they felt about this. Everybody knew about it, and everybody said nothing. So, what are we doing? Like, we're just gonna take the scapegoat and take the head coach out of it. Like, that's what we're doing.
You could switch over to Illinois as your football team, being the Big Ten team.
I'd rather not. I've watched a lot of Illinois football.
You could. Hey, I'm an IU fan, and that's like, hey, that's just as bad in football. We haven't been good for a while, but
it's no.
But in college, I'm an IU fan, but I think in college, kind of like what you were saying earlier, I root for players more,
right?
Than I kind of do like teams. Like in NFL, I'm a Colts fan, but like in college, like Tennessee, I followed Tennessee because Peyton Manning. When he was there, because I watched him there before he became a Colt, right. Or Trevor Lawrence. I was a big Trevor Lawrence fan when he was in college. So I think college, because they're only there maybe 2-3 years, I think it's more of the players that you like than it is maybe one team.
Right. Like, I watched every game of Wisconsin football, and I still have a Wisconsin beanie because of Jonathan Taylor. And that's just what it is. I watched every single snap of Justin Fields. I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I loved every single snap of Justin Fields at Ohio State. Trevor Lawrence, I've been watching him and Fields together since I was like 15. We're the same age, so it was always cool. I think Jonathan Taylor and I are the same age too, but it's the conversation of, like, these are my favorite players, and I'm gonna rock with their universities. And when they go into the pros, I would even consider getting their jerseys. I really would, as long as they don't go to like the Packers, the Vikings, or the Lions. I have no problem. You know what I mean? Like, if Trevor Lawrence would have ended up a New England Patriot or an Indianapolis Colt, I would have got his jersey. He went to the Jaguars, and I don't like their colors. But I might get the all-black one. I like the all-black one they dropped. I don't like that green shit.
Don't like that green shit. You brought up James Harden. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Is the dude ever going to be happy? I mean, it seems like every team he goes to since he's
No.
left Houston that he's there a year or if that, and he wants to find a way to try to get out. Either whether it's let's show up the team out of fat and out of shape, or let's go with the Nets, then get our way out there to Philadelphia. Now you opt into the extension to the max deal, and then now you want traded, and then when they come out and say they're not going to trade you after they couldn't find enough value for you, excuse me. Now now Morey's a liar, and you're never going to be a part of an organization that he's a part of again. So, I mean, do you see him playing with Philadelphia this season?
Frankie, you want to take that one? I can't stay. We're always having this conversation every offseason, bro. Frankie can take it.
He's gonna, yeah, bro. I'm getting tired of it as well. I'm tired of James Harden, but he's gonna play. James Harden's gonna play. He's not gonna be a little. I don't want to curse, man. He's not gonna be a little bitch and just sit the bench because he didn't get traded. He's gonna play, and he's gonna show other teams why they should have went out and tried to trade for him. There's always a thing called the trade deadline. There's always a thing called the trade deadline where a team is like should be better than what they are, but they're really not, so they're gonna go ahead and trade for him. But like, I don't know, man. I'm honestly I'm tired of talking about James Harden. At this point, I feel like he's just stressed because he wants to go to a super team that's gonna help, bring him a championship without even him giving in the effort to help winning the championship. I mean, it's tiring. I'm sick of it.
You know what? I think you're wrong too. I really do think you're wrong because we watched what he did in Houston and how he handled that. You know what I mean? Like hanging out with Lil Baby at the club, at the strip club, wearing a fat suit, like not, you know what I mean? Like being out of shape in all seriousness and just showing that, hey, I don't give a fuck. And he's not like Kevin Durant. I know we talk a lot of crap about Kevin Durant, especially us two on this panel right now. But one thing I will give him his flowers about is he asked for a trade last summer. They told him no. And he didn't act up. He didn't say anything. He just went about his game and kept playing all the way till the deadline. And like you said, like you understand, you got to build your trade stock. You got to build up that resume to be able to get guys like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and a bunch of other guys. I almost said Reddish, Cam Johnson, and a bunch of other guys and draft picks. So I don't think James is like that though. We've seen it before. We've seen him how he wanted to get paid in Houston. We've seen him how he wanted to get out of Houston after he gets paid, and there's so many different aspects to it. I don't see him playing. I think he sits out because he is all about him. Kevin Durant, very different. Kevin Durant has that legacy. Kevin Durant is trying to solidify himself as one of the greatest to ever do it in his mind, and I don't think he has that luxury of sitting out when you understand of what your career could potentially be if you miss another year. You already missed a year. You know what I mean? You're 33, 34 years old. James doesn't care. James doesn't care about his legacy. James doesn't care what happens. He says he does, but actions speak louder than words, and you see that and you go, listen, bro, you always want to get out because it's always everybody else's fault. Bro, to be honest with you, it's yours. Like, let's be real. Like, you were with this guy in Houston. You looked at that and you said, I got to get out of here. I hate Houston. I don't want to be here. Then you go to Brooklyn and you say, I don't want to be here. Kyrie's crazy. Cool, I get it. A lot of things happen with Kyrie. A lot of things happen with KD, Steve Nash. Made sense. It just didn't work out. Fine. That's cool. Then you go back with Daryl Morey, who was the reason that you wanted to leave in Houston. So you literally went back to the ex that cheated on you, who didn't really even cheat on you. You just didn't perform that great. And it's like, dude, what do you want from me? Like, you went back and now you're mad again. And at the end of the day, the person who had 13 fucking points or less than 10 points in a fucking final game of the season, you and Embiid couldn't combine for 30 points.
He didn't even score in the fourth quarter, did he? I remember correctly.
So why are you mad? You're the MVP. You're one of the best shooting guards of all time. You changed the game. Where were you? I get Embiid didn't show up either, but it's like, you're going to sit here and blame Morey because you couldn't fucking shoot? Because you didn't even want to shoot? I don't know, bro. It's just like, so you're gonna go to LA with Kawhi and PG, who are both injury prone, and you're injury prone. So it's gonna be a revolving door of who's not playing tonight. And then when you guys all are on the floor together, you got to build chemistry. We know how PG is in the playoffs. Like, and how James is in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, it's just like, bro, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like everywhere you go, there's a problem. I don't see that with Dame.
And Harden's more of a ball dominant guy. So if you go to like the Clippers with George and Kawhi and you're all three playing, he's not going to be happy there if he don't have the ball in his hand all the time.
Yeah, I'm over it, bro. I know we're supposed to talk about it, but like, if you have something, Gonzo, me and Frankie have nothing else to say, because if you want to check out how me and Frankie feel about it, you can probably go to this day 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been the conversation for the last 3-4 years. You're right. I mean,
like, I'm over it. I'm so done with this guy, man. Like, it also stems from somebody telling me that James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade, and I've never liked James Harden ever since. So, welcome, Hall of Famer, Dwayne Wade. You'll love to see it. Chicago Sky owner, Dwayne Wade. You'll love to see it. Hey, Frankie, say it with me. Frankie, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Not a bitch, Dwayne Wade. James Harden is. You'll love to see it. I can't stand James Harden, bro. I can't stand him.
I can't either.
Better
you know who else I can't stand? KD. Bum ass.
Who can you not stand more, Frankie? KD or Harden?
KD with a fucking heart.
Yeah, it's got to be KD.
I knew it was going to be KD.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
It's definitely KD.
Oh, man. I'm tired.
My girls play the Aces tonight. Oh, Commissioner Championship colors go. About to smoke these girls.
Yeah, Commissioner's Cup's always a good time, man. It really is. I think the Sky don't play until Friday against Atlanta. Solid.
Fever are terrible again.
They always were, Gonzo. They always were.
They follow their name. They always have a fever.
Other than Boston.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing though. It's a good thing though, because you get that draft capital. So see what happens in the draft. You continue. I think that's the beauty. I think when you have one superstar player, it sucks when you make the playoffs because you want to pair them up with somebody great the following year. Like that was the beauty of the Bears being that bad. And I told Frankie that at the beginning of last year. I said, "No, I want the number one pick." I said that all year. Because I knew what it was. You know what I mean? And it's like you have those conversations of like, you got to pair Justin Fields up with somebody. You have to. And now you get DJ Moore out of that number one pick. And I think that's something that needed to be done. It's something that needs to happen. So for the WNBA, it's the same concept of like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese won't be in this year's draft, but whoever you end up getting number one overall, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Because for a fact, those two aren't leaving college. They're making so much money with endorsements. Those two are making so much money with NIL deals. They still have 2 years of eligibility. They're making 10 times more than they're ever going to make in the WNBA, and I think it would be a disservice to both of them if they were to leave right now. And I think, I think they're both making over at least $1 million right now, yearly, and over NILs and endorsements and sponsorships, all that shit. And you look at that and you say, it sucks for Gonzo because it's like you're the worst team in the league this year, and you're supposed to get Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark, and they say they're staying in school, and it's like that. It's tough, but whoever's next up on the board, whether it's Haley or somebody else, like I think you'll be in good hands. And I think people will want to play with Aaliyah now too. People might want to come to Indiana. Maybe. Go hang out in Gary, Indiana on the weekends. That's what we can go do for fun.
It's
Yeah.
probably not the place you want to go. You want to go hang out on the weekend.
It's the place I want to go. It reminds me of home. Just like little Chicago.
That's true. That's what they called it for years.
Yep. Then they come to Chicago and they got nothing to say. What?
What do you think about the New Orleans Saints with Derek Carr? You think they'll be able to do anything in the NFC?
That man is so happy to be a Saint.
He
Like,
looks
he,
bad.
Yeah, he is jacked.
Bro started hitting the weight room for the first time in 10 years. I mean, I think there's going to be moments. I think they have. I mean, if you look at it, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara. It's a great name list. Like on
If he
paper, that looks
plays.
great. But like,
Is he
is Michael?
suspended?
But that's what I'm saying. Is like Alvin Kamara is suspended. What is he going to be when he gets back? He's been injury prone the last couple of years. He's been great when he's on the field, but what is he going to be? You know, other than that, Michael Thomas. I haven't seen Michael Thomas since I was like 18 years old, fresh out of high school. 23 now. Like, I got bills. Like, where have you been, dog? Slant boy, what happened? But Derek Carr is another guy too, very injury prone. A lot of injuries throughout his career. Chris Olave is a stud. I love Chris Olave. I think that connection between those two is going to be interesting. I think it reminds me a lot of what I thought and what Frankie even thought of what could have potentially happened if Henry Ruggs didn't have this situation. You know, you look at Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and Henry Ruggs, and you say, and then obviously Renfro, and you go, you know, that's a great core. Josh Jacobs,
With Josh Jacobs, yeah.
Aaron Waller, like you had a stud core. He just never got a chance to play with them. So now that he's finally getting a chance to really play with them, this is probably his best offense that he's going to play with. Once Kamara gets back in a very long time. They also have Gonzo. Do you know their X factor? Do you know the greatest running back to ever grace this God green earth?
Who's that?
Jamal Williams. I mean, you got Jamal Williams. Come on, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Jamal Williams is the greatest running back to ever run a back. I mean, absolute stud. Absolute stud. How could you not love Jamal Williams? So I think they got a lot of red zone threats. I think they got a lot of good players.
And I think the Saints defense has a chance to be one of the best defenses Carr has had.
Oh, without a doubt.
In his career.
The Saints,
So
and
I think that could be a big key to it.
And that's the thing, Chris. That's the thing that I like about the Saints is they had a good defense when they had Sean Payton. After Sean Payton left, basically retired, quote unquote retired, and you know went to do his analyst shit. The Saints, whoever coached the Saints, kept that defense at flow. They know that that's the one thing that's good about the Saints is defense. I like the fact that you get a new head coach and you continue to stay on that path of defense because sometimes when you get a new coach, something always slips. Either offense slips or defense slips. And with the Saints, it was the offense that slipped. They had good games. They did. But they slipped. And they kept up with their defense. And now I feel like this year they actually – if Michael Thomas could stay healthy, man. If he could stay healthy.
I think that's the key. I agree. I think that's the key. I think Michael Thomas needs to stay healthy. And I think Kamara is a big key, too, if he can stay healthy when he comes back.
Yeah.
But definitely
or
Thomas.
even see what he
Thomas
brings back.
and Olave out there at the same time. them two can really feed off each other.
Because real talk, Alvin Kamara, he's suspended, 3 games by the commissioner?
I think so.
He's suspended 3 games. So take that 3 games. He was what? He was injured most of the last season, or he was injured the entire season last year, right? So that's like, a year and a half of not playing? No, he played last year?
Yeah.
He didn't get hurt last year.
I think he did, but he played a lot.
I don't know, man.
Alvin
Alvin Kamara, though, he's not looking like he's not looking like the running back that he did when he first came into the league.
I thought he had 6 touchdowns in a single game last year.
Stop that. If he did, it's probably all from the 1-yard line.
I know Thomas didn't play hardly at all
line.
last year.
No, he didn't. That was a couple years ago. Sorry. He had 800, 900, 897 yards and 2 touchdowns last year and 223 attempts.
2 touchdowns last year, just 2 touchdowns.
That's what it
Jeez.
says.
Jeez. God. Jonathan Taylor had more touchdowns than him. And he only played like what, 2 games?
Hold on.
Bro, I was mad at Jonathan Taylor, which is why I'm not on his side for getting money this year. Really not.
Yeah,
I was
you
really
you
pissed.
drafted him last year.
I drafted him number 1 overall, thinking he
remember
was
that.
gonna be a beast. And the man gets hurt in week 2. Messed up my entire fantasy.
I drafted Nick Chubb and Frankie laughed at me.
Oh, I still laugh.
Got him.
I still laugh.
Best running back in football. So I don't want to hear it.
Oh my God! Why you're the second person that told me that, bro?
It's Nick Chubb.
I know the fact. I know.
It's Nick Chubb.
I'm gonna say my boy's name. Jay McLovin on Unscripted said we had like a little like fantasy football thing, like where what should you do? Like Chris was there,
Yeah.
and he went out and he said, if you get the number 1 overall pick and you want to go and get a running back, get Nick Chubb. He's the best running back in football. I said, are you crazy? You're putting Nick Chubb over Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Can I hear why? Can
Nick
I
Chubb
get an
is
explanation?
a dynamic running back. He's a dynamic force, and he actually was top 5 in fantasy last year, and he was the number 1 running back in fantasy last year, and he has been absolutely incredible. You still look at the Browns, and you look at their wide receivers. Frankie, can you name 2 wide receivers on the Browns right now?
Nah.
Can you name 1?
Oh, Amari Cooper.
Okay, and he's injured. You know what I mean? And it's like, so when you look at that and you go, okay, it's still going to be a very run-first offense. His offensive line is still built to stop the run or to help the run and run protection. So I don't see Deshaun Watson slinging fucking 4,000 yards this season. He could, but I don't see it just because of the roster that you have around him. Nick Chubb can catch the football. Nick Chubb can rush the football. He can throw the football. We've seen him throw the football. I mean, he's doing everything. And I think Cleveland is running on a Jim Brown-led offense that is Nick Chubb. And I think right now you're starting to see that. And I think right now you're starting to see him emerge as that number 1 back. And he could be the next big domino that wants to get paid sometime very soon. I just think he's the number 1 running back in the game. Now, there is a conversation about Robinson. I think Bijan Robinson is an interesting one, kind of like a sleeper. Some people are saying it's going to be an immediate impact and that this kid's going to be one of the great ones. And you want to take a chance on him? I would. I wouldn't number 1 overall. But first round, I definitely would. Like I have the 10th pick, and you know how fantasy works, and like you can do keeper rounds. So yeah. I have the 10th pick, and I could either keep or I could do something else. A lot of people are keeping. So Justin Jefferson's gone, Nick Chubb is gone, CMC's gone, all these guys are gone. I said, fuck it. I'm keeping Kelsey. I kept Kelsey at 10. I think at 10, that's a good place.
I would have done the same shit. I would have done the same thing. And I told Jay that because he was, we were trying to explain to him like
we both told Jay that about Kelsey.
Yeah.
So like a tight end to like the what was he saying, 5th round?
He said take a tight end around the 3rd or 4th round.
No.
I said, bro, you're not gonna find a good top tight end in the 3rd or 4th round.
No.
I'm like realistically, 5 of the best running backs is gonna go top 5.
Right.
After that, yes, you can go wide receiver if you like. I wouldn't. In my opinion, I really wouldn't. What I would do is I will go and pick up a tight end like Travis Kelce, like Mark Andrews. Like, you got to get those guys off the board quickly because if you don't, somebody behind you is going to get them.
Right.
Like, that. It's just that simple.
Right.
Because those are like, you want to get those tight ends that are going to get you those high-ass numbers. Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews are literally the only 2 right now that can do that for you.
And I look at Juju being in New England now. Hey, bro, all they got is Tony and Kelsey in Kansas City. And I don't think I'm not throwing shade at Kansas City saying they're going to be bad. I think you're just going to see a lot of targets for Travis Kelce with Patrick Mahomes. I think it's going to be, if they can stay healthy, I think that's going to be their best season together ever statistically because, I mean, he has nobody else to really throw to. He will. Of course he will. He will make plays with other guys. But, I think the primary target, the primary piece of that offense right now outside of Patrick Mahomes is Travis Kelce.
especially in the red zone as well.
Yeah.
He's always a big prime red zone target.
Right.
And there's
Man, let's be real. Kansas City's never in the goddamn red zone. Patrick Mahomes getting touchdowns from the 40-yard line. There's
and there's a
never
lot
a
more
red
depth.
zone.
There's a lot more depth at the wide receiver position than there is tight end position. So you got to get your top tight end early, because if not, you're going to end up with on the weaker side of the tight ends.
What's so beneficial for guys like us watching college football, like my first year, I won a championship. I was in 3 leagues. I was horrible in 2, and I won a championship in the other. It was the first 2 times I drafted, I didn't know what I was doing. That third time I won a chip. I didn't have running backs. I always told Frankie this. I was laughing. My team went 7-7. We were the wild card spot, and I won a fucking chip because my rookie wide receivers were my only wide receivers I had. It was Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle. It was like 2021. They were crazy. Jamar gave me 50 in the championship. Jalen gave me 40 in the conference championship. Like, my running backs were David Montgomery and what was dude's name? Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny were my starting running backs. Like, and it didn't matter because my wide receivers were giving me 50, and I had Travis Kelce. And my team's name was were Kelsey's Killers, and we're still Kelsey's Killers. And we're running it back this year. Big Kels. You feel me? Come on. Frankie, do that again.
He was also saying take a quarterback in like the first or second round. I don't take a quarter. I don't draft a quarterback till later on.
I mean this, and I want both of you to humble me right now if I'm wrong. I think Justin Fields can be drafted in the second round because of running the football. Like, he was putting up 40 points a week last year.
I don't worry about getting a quarterback. I don't worry about getting a quarterback until maybe like the 5th round, sometimes possibly 6th, because like I want to get all those best players. I want to get a best kicker, Justin Tucker. You want to get that guy that can get you 60-yard bombs. You got to get Justin Tucker. Like you want to get a good tight end. You want to get that good flex. I mean, if you're not in a league with so many people, like let's say you're in a league with 12 total, you can literally go like round 3 to the last round to get any like wide receiver, basically, if you wanted to, because there's so many good wide receivers out there. If you want to get the best, you want to get them early, go ahead, you can. But like you can, I feel like all the wide receivers don't get you much points. The realistic points where you get is tight end, quarterback, and running back. Those are the 3 major things you want to look at real early. But like I want to get all the quarterback. I don't give a damn about the quarterback. If I got a good tight end, I got good receivers, I got a good running back, I don't care what the quarterback's going to bring me on points. At the end of the day, a quarterback should bring you at least under 20. If he have an amazing game, over 20. If he's having a freaking fantastic game and like his QBR is like freaking 150, he better be bringing you 50 points. Like, that you'll have those moments and stuff like that. Right. So I'm not really worried about a quarterback real early in the fantasy draft.
Right. I think there's those anomalies, though. I think Jalen Hurts. I think Justin Fields. I think Lamar Jacksons of the world. The guys who are going to be kind of running backs and quarterback type stats.
They're kind of hybrids.
Or even getting rushing touchdowns, even from the 5-yard line. Yeah, I get it.
It's definitely worth it.
Even a guy like Anthony Richardson, I'm not saying this year, but I think he could be one of them guys, a quarterback, because of his running ability. That could be a guy that could be.
Oh, shut the fuck! No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I think so. I do think so too.
I want Bill Belichick to give Malik Cunningham some opportunity.
I'm glad you mentioned him. I wanted your thoughts on that.
He caught my eye on week 1 preseason. Like, that man ran in. He juked the man and broke his ankle. I was like, oh my God. Put him in. 2nd string right now. The hell is that man, Bailey Zappi?
And I heard he's been getting a lot more of the first team reps.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of reps and I just got news literally like at the start of the show that everybody in the New England right now is really like stepping up for Malik. They like Malik. They like what he brings. This is like a tall quarterback who got good legs, who can run the ball well and throw the ball as well as well. And he's undrafted at that. We quickly got him right after the draft was over. So I mean, I like what he brings. And after all the news that I'm hearing out, I wouldn't be surprised if this man is even starting against Green Bay in preseason week 2. Right. I think he should start. I mean, if you want to throw in Bailey Zappi, go right ahead, give him a couple series, whatever. But Malik Cunningham should be coming in right after him.
100%, bro.
And he was an
I really
undrafted
like
free
him.
agent, correct?
Yeah, he was the first. He was the first guy we grabbed right after the draft was over.
Listen, bro. I want to go on Omegle.
Why do you think he didn't get drafted? Did he have a bad year at Louisville in college, or was he just known for running in college and not really being able to throw the ball?
Well, I feel like
It's tough
you
to
know
go undrafted, bro.
it is. But realistically, like nobody even talked about him prior to the draft. Like I don't feel like it's because of his numbers at Louisville or anything like that. Everybody was mainly focused on everyone else, like Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, hell, even
Right.
freaking Will Levis. Like Will Levis was getting known for what reason? Who
I'm
knows?
so glad the Colts didn't draft Will Levis.
Dude, I told you I wouldn't talk to you for a while if it happened. I told you I would leave you alone. I was like, Gonzo needs a break from shows. Gonzo needs a break from everything. Give that man 2 weeks off if they draft Will Levis, bro, because
we had so much fun during our draft party watch along. Like literally, like because Chris had the first one and all the other three, like the other two quarterbacks went. We're over there jumping on Chris, like, yo, you about to get Will Levis right here. And Chris is like, I swear to God, if we get Will Levis, I swear I'm getting off this show. I'm not watching Colts football. I'm done. And I'm just like, yo, you gonna get Will Levis? Time coming down, you getting Will. And then it'll go freaking my team, and then Chris will come at me like, yeah, you gonna get Will Levis, huh? See, all the news about Mac Jones.
Let's look at it for what it is, man. I mean, sometimes I feel like general managers fall into the hype of the fans. And I think sometimes they also watch Mel Kiper's 50 list. You also watch, his draft boards, and you start to believe in the stock, and you start to believe in all these facades that are being these smoke and mirrors of what these guys are. Like Ryan Pace was the same way. Mitch Trubisky has an average season as a senior, first year ever starting at North Carolina as a Tar Heel, bro. Not even at Ohio State, not even at Alabama or Georgia or anywhere like that. At fucking North Carolina.
Yeah.
And has a great pro day, has a great combine. They're comparing him to Aaron Rodgers. And, you fall for it. You take a sip of the Kool-Aid. And now, you're taking Mitch Trubisky. You're trading up to the number 2 overall pick. Here I am thinking Deshaun Watson. Here I am thinking maybe that Mahomes kid. Here I am thinking, hey, let's talk about TJ Watt, Christian McCaffrey, Jamal Adams, one of these guys, somebody.
Mitch Trubisky.
Cooper Kupp. Mitch Trubisky.
And with the second overall pick.
Bro, what? And I watched Mitch Trubisky a lot because I was a North Carolina fan at the time, just because of Michael Jordan, and that was the only reason. I wasn't into college football. From that aspect. And then Trevor Lawrence on the rise started to come around the same time, and I was like, oh, this is dope. And then so that was my transition very quickly. Once Trevor took over, I was like, I'm rocking with Clemson. But it's definitely something to where also North Carolina football was so ass. But
and just think what the Bears could have maybe looked like if they would have took like Watson.
Yeah, I've said this. I think it would have ended the same. Him moving on to the Browns, and obviously it would have been a big scandal that Frankie wouldn't have let me live down. So I'm happy it didn't happen. But I will say in 2018, I think they win the Super Bowl. I really do. I think you look at that team being 12-4, one of the best defenses throughout the last 5 years, 5-6 years. And I think you look at that and you say, with Deshaun Watson at the helm, Matt Nagy was coach of the year. You look at number 1 defense, Khalil Mack and company, like Deshaun Watson would have been that difference. And I think they just would have, even Patrick Mahomes, you would have had that conversation. And we've talked about this about Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. And, you passed up on Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, a bunch of other guys. And it's because of this hype of a kid from North Dakota State in Trey Lance. And it's like, what are we doing?
Or a kid from BYU and Zach Wilson.
From BYU.
One primetime game that he played that year, he looked like trash.
He looked like trash in all of them. And it's respectful.
Well, I'm sure he did, but the primetime game was about the only one I watched because I really don't watch BYU.
Right.
So.
But aside from Trey Lance, I always felt like it's a narrative of the league trying to force another white kid to play quarterback. And, you have the Zach Wilsons, the Mitch Trubiskys, the Will Levises who come from these preppy ass schools. And it's like, you try to force them to be something they're not just to fit a narrative. And you're not looking at guys like Lamar Jackson, like Patrick Mahomes and all these other guys. And it's like Justin Fields, you know what I mean? Like we can do this all day. Jalen Hurts. Fucking Jalen Hurts didn't get drafted until later on, and it's crazy to me.
And then you tear down a guy like a Stetson Bennett that has proved that he can win, but he don't get the hype that them guys get because he was older or this, or
you know what I mean? Like
they find ways to tear him apart.
And by the way, old is 25 years old. By the way, just got to throw that out there. The kid's 25, and we're talking about, oh yeah, he's done. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Like I understand he's not going to be your franchise quarterback for the next 20 years. It'd be 45 by that time, but you could tell me there's a 10-year window from. I mean, Aaron Rodgers won an MVP at 37, 38 years old. Like you got time, and especially with Sean McVay, I think it's going to be a beautiful thing with the Rams because I think he has all the opportunity in the world to be great.
Yeah, I do too. I think that was a good fit for him.
100%.
But he's looked more. He looked more comfortable out there in that preseason game than I've seen Zach Wilson look in about any game.
Man, dude, have you watched Hard Knocks?
I watched the first episode. I missed this week's episode.
I stopped watching. I had it on for about 17 minutes and 12 seconds, Frankie, and they were doing close-ups of Rodgers. He's winking at the camera. I was like, fuck this. I turned it off. I was like, I can't. I thought I could. I thought I could be like, okay, maybe I could be a Rodgers fan now because he's not in Green Bay. Nope, the hate's still there. The hate's in my heart. Frankie, I'm with you, dog. I'm sorry. I'm not rocking with him. I can't.
They only gave the Jets the Hard Knock because of Aaron Rodgers.
100%, 110%. And Zach, he's clowning Zach Wilson in episode 1. I know Gonzo saw it. He's clowning. He's making fun of him. I bet you've never heard people cheer for you like this, and then everyone's cheering Rodgers, and it's like, wow, that shit.
He's an asshole.
He's an asshole, dude. If I was Zach Wilson, we're fighting, bro. We're fighting right there.
Straight up, I'm getting.
I haven't watched episode 2 yet.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. I don't care. I'm not watching it.
I did finish the quarterback series. I really liked it. I thought that was real good.
I thought the ending was weird, bro. I mean, Mariota was just like, all right, bye. He lost his job and he was like, yeah I'm done. I was like, all right. I didn't realize though at the end though, it was cool. I didn't even realize he's the backup quarterback of Philly now. I think that's pretty cool. I think he has an opportunity there to kind of do something if something happens to Jalen Hurts. It's a very similar offense. I think it's dope. I really do. I think that was a good move. I didn't even remember that. That was like, so there were so many things going on around that time for free agency that like
I didn't realize he was with Philadelphia either.
Yeah.
I just thought he was out. I thought he was out of the league.
I thought he was too. I was like, oh, I guess that's it. That's all she wrote, but I'm happy for him.
I wonder who they're going to get this year for that quarterback.
I've been hearing a lot of Joe Burrow. I've been hearing Joe Burrow is a big one that they're trying to get. They asked Justin Fields if he would do it. He said no, it's a distraction, which I think he'll do it later on in his career. But I think with the hype that is this year, I think he's just trying to stay locked in and keep that out. Also,
for a younger guy, I think that's a good decision.
Yeah, like the Bears don't rock with that shit anyways. Like they don't like the Bears didn't even want to do Hard Knocks. The Bears have never done Hard Knocks. They're one of the only teams that haven't. And I think that's definitely something that, we just stop. Get the fuck out of here. Like Bill Belichick.
No, this year they couldn't get nobody to do Hard Knocks. Nobody would do it. And then
it starts problems. I think it really does start problems, man. I mean, you can't do what you want to do. You can't say what you want to say because you can't you can't say these play designs out loud. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's cool for the fans. Don't get it twisted. But as an athlete, as a coach, you have to be like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, you always got to watch what you say, watch what you do.
Could you imagine if ASAP did Hard Knocks and they followed me and Frankie around every day? Don't do that. You're not gonna want that. Not pretty.
We'd be ASAP be canceled pretty quick.
Be canceled. I like that. Like all these guys do is smoke weed all day. Well,
that's what we do.
So we don't do it here. Don't fucking follow us home. I don't tell you.
Yeah, that's true. I bet you and like when you're on Hard Knocks, not only you gotta watch what you say, but like it just has that uncomfortable feeling. Because the guys can't just be their self at training camp. You always have to be on high alert. So something that don't come out that shouldn't. But
And check
I
this
thought the
out, right?
quarterback thing was cool.
I got something for you right now.
Yo, Aaron, I went to the city last night. Fuck this bitch.
See, exactly, stuff like that. You can't say stuff like that. Now, I did see the little smoke thing between him and Garrett Wilson. I thought it was kind of cool, but I will give him that. But I
That
think
shit's
like
stupid.
take it like this, right? So you walk up to Zach Wilson and you make a little joke saying it's just you and him. You're Aaron Rodgers. You say, "Hey, I bet you've never seen this many fans cheering for you." Just like to humble him, to make sure he understands, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is who I am. You can learn from me. Now that's on public TV. Now the whole world saw that. If I'm Zach Wilson, I'm like, that's embarrassing. I'm like, now I feel some type of way towards Aaron. You know what I mean? Like you have those interactions and you're like, what the fuck? Like now everybody thinks I'm some raggedy ass backup quarterback who is just gonna sit down and say yes, sir. Like that's how you would feel. And I think it starts problems. It definitely does start problems for some guys. Like you remember when who was on it? It was it was Antonio Brown with the Raiders. And it was like you're watching that and you're like, this is horrible.
They showed his feet all froze up for when he went in that Cairo chamber thing.
Yeah, and it's like this is horrible for the team. This makes the team look so bad. Like it can go either way. I think there's times that they look good. Like the Cowboys one, I will give the Cowboys that. The Cowboys one looked good. You know, the guys were complimenting each other. The guys felt good. But again, that's a set-in team. Zeke and Dak.
Put them roll bags home, bums.
I mean, yeah, they're not good football players, but like, you know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot going on the team that was like conflicting. The only thing you really had was Zeke's contract, and they figured that out pretty quickly. And with this, it's like Aaron versus Zach, and you know all these other things with AB versus Gruden and the Raiders and all this other shit. And it's like, man, bro, like we don't need this right now, bro.
Real talk though, Zach deserves this because once they went out and got Aaron Rodgers, he went out and said, "I'm gonna make his life live in hell." So he deserves it.
100% he does, but I think as a team, I'd be like, yeah, we don't need this public. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it goes over better when it's just the team that's hearing the stuff, not the public.
Like you can humble him with the team and not embarrass him to the world. You know what I mean? Like that starts a whole different conversation. That's when Zach Wilson's going to demand a trade, and then you have to remind him that nobody wants Zach Wilson, and it's going to be like, you can leave, we'll cut you. But we're not trading.
You're not gonna get nothing value for it.
No, we ain't getting nothing for that man. They aren't getting nothing for that man. I just saw Logan. Logan just popped up on my people you may know. I just added Logan. Happy birthday, Rob Scott.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else before we get out of here for today?
That's all I got. Happy birthday, Rob Scott. My dog.
Frankie, you have anything?
No. Yankees suck. I'm ready for football.
Okay.
Done moved on from baseball.
But I moved on from baseball back in like May.
That's what I'm saying.
It'd be like that. Cubs are going.
Reds haven't been playing good since the trade deadline, but hopefully we can get back going. I think we've only won 3 games since August 1st.
You like that, baby? You like that?
Let's go, Cubbies.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. We got the Tigers, the Pirates, the Royals, and the White Sox up next. The Brewers, who are in first place, have the Dodgers and the Rangers. Hey, Frankie, talk to me in 2 weeks, baby. See how far we are.
All that matters to me is I want to see the Brewers fall, and then the Reds and Cubs can battle it out for the division and the wild card. We just need to see.
I just want the Cubs in the playoffs. That's all I want. I want the Cubs in the playoffs. I had that prediction since winter break.
I'm ready for it. You know, I do have a final thought, actually. At what point, not to say he is the MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., clear-cut MVP in the National League. I think that's fair, right? I think it's fair. Him and Freddie Freeman are running with it. But at what point does Cody Bellinger join that conversation? Like, you're Gold Glover at first base, you're a Gold Glover in center field, you're batting over 315, you have over 20 home runs on the year. Like, I understand he missed a month, but come on, baby. Belly needs his love. I need some more belly bombs in my life. Hopefully we'll get him tonight against the White Sox.
I can see that. And I also think Spencer Steer for the Reds should be being mentioned more for in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
100%. And also, I'm going to throw in another Cub because fuck it. It's my final thought. Justin Steele should be the Cy Young in the National League, and I don't care what anybody has to say. Like, it's fucking wild that he doesn't. He has the lowest ERA in the National League. He has the most wins in the National League. He is an absolute fucking stud. He is the man of steel. And it just don't talk about him because it's his first really good year. And I think that's fucked up. It's fucked up.
I agree. But no, we appreciate everybody watching. We'll be back tomorrow right around 1 o'clock with another episode of the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. Make sure you check out ASAP Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Amazon, Roku, Apple. You can find them about everywhere. We'll be back tomorrow right around 1 o'clock. Hope everybody has a great day. Also, join me here in about 15, 20 minutes for Easy Money, a sports betting show.
Oh, yes.
My picks were 4-1 yesterday and 6-0 on Friday. So I've been on a roll the last couple of days.
I fuck me hard.
Yo, what the fuck? Oh, get him out of here, bro.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Have a great day.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.